Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
I'm Paul Hankins. I'm Trevor Hankins.
And I'm Rachel Wells.
and it's time for What's in My Bag Free Comic Book Day 2025 Part 2, where we actually talk about the books that we picked up at our comic book store. So, Rachel, since you're here, let you start. What's a book you want to talk about?
Alrighty. I should talk about all of them, right?
Well, yeah, we'll talk, but we'll one at a time. What do you want to start with?
Oh, one at a time. Um, I may as well start with my favorite one that I read, which was the Will Eisner
Uh-huh.
comic biography.
Yeah.
This was super interesting. It made me actually want to go buy the book and read more. It it actually the style reminds me a lot of the book we just read for book club, The Sculptor. It's got this kind of monotone kind of look. It's set in I remember now, you got it too. It's set in New York City, so the same setting, except this is in the 30s, talking about the life of Will Eisner. There's some interesting things. I never really dove in depth about his life, but we learn about how he had a 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. marketing job,
Yeah.
which must have been brutal.
Overnight. Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend this book. They said it's coming out July of 2025, so I recommend giving it a go.
Yeah, I agree. This was a very interesting read, and yeah, I knew nothing about him before, but yeah, I know he's a very important person, but I just didn't know anything about him, and so this was really a nice little, almost okay. I want the whole book, not just this little preview.
Yeah.
And you're right. It does.
Agreed.
The art is very reminiscent of The Sculptor. So yeah.
I believe Scott McCloud himself was inspired by Will Eisner, so this must have been lifting a bit from Eisner's own personal style.
Yeah, again, I'm not familiar with his style per se, but this was very good, though. I did enjoy this. So, yeah, I agree with you. I would recommend getting the book when it comes out. So, pretty cool. All right. You want to do a book?
One that we got was one was Mega Man.
Two? And
Uh,
what'd you guys think?
well, I'm not too familiar with Udon's take on Mega Man, but actually, this actually felt like a complete story, and I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing about free comic book day comics, isn't it? It's very rarely a complete story.
Yeah,
So
no.
you gotta appreciate it when it is.
It takes you to, a lot of them just take you to the point where you're, and then it stops. Yeah.
Like, this is
Cliffhanger.
it is still like advertising a Mega Man comic, but this issue feels like a whole thing on its own.
That's great.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Kind of the same thing. Because of the it changes art styles a few times. I'm thinking that's I don't know if that's either just using different artists to represent flashbacks, or if they were pulling material from other books, and that's why it looked like it. But either way, there's a framing device that makes it feel like a complete story, so I appreciated that. And I also thought they did a good job representing situations. I will just say with the ad for these Mega Man books at the back,
Ooh.
mildly annoyed that it didn't acknowledge Battle Network at all.
Oh,
As Char and I are familiar with Mega Man through the Battle Network version, but that's just really minor.
did you want to read more Mega Man?
Well, I don't know if I want to commit to diving into all this Mega Man.
It's a lifestyle. Come on.
Well, why not?
Money's no object. Okay. So, all right.
It was still good.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Scumburbia, which is
That looks interesting.
it's very, I'll say, kind of primitive art style. I mean, it's not refined. He does. Well, I'm sorry, whoever did this book does a pretty good job of, you can identify the characters and you kind of know what they're doing. And there's kind of like two stories in here, neither one that ever, I think, really comes to completion. One is going to the mall to buy concert tickets, and they end up not, I don't think they end up doing it. And then another one is going, it all takes place at a mall. One of them is, which I could kind of relate to, though it never happened to me, was as a younger kid, you get a ride from your, like a friend's older sibling takes you to the mall, and you know, that kind of stuff. So I could kind of relate to that, even again, though it never really happened to me. But it's, you know, back when people actually, maybe it's a little nostalgic for going to the mall, because a lot of that doesn't happen as much anymore, unless younger, I don't know if younger people still go to the mall or not, but the second story really doesn't quite come to, it sort of leaves you incomplete.
Leaves you hanging.
Yes, and it does advertise that it's to be continued in a bigger edition of the same book. And it also says, find it somewhere.
I find it funny.
Somewhere.
I haven't read that, but glancing over, I find it funny there's a mall directory.
Yeah, he does have a mall directory here, so this is, I assume, where it's all going to take place, in the mall.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was, I'll say, yeah, it was a fun read, but I'm not sure I would continue reading it. But it does seem a little bit of a throwback, because there's sort of a punk vibe to it.
Yeah, it feels very 80s and 90s.
Yeah. So it was kind of a throwback in some ways, but not bad. And if you're into that, you should read it. But it was interesting. So, Paul, you want to do it?
What about Rachel?
Oh, Rachel. Okay.
The next one I have up here on my pile is the Dr. Seuss graphic novels.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't much of a fan of these, to be honest. The style.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
After our initial discussion, we pulled a sneaky, went to another comic book store to get a few more, and I
Ooh. That's cheating, but you know what? That's okay.
Go ahead.
You were saying?
What was it? I mean, it's obviously for kids, but it's not the kind of for kids that necessarily I think would appeal to adults. It just feels a little simple, not necessarily captivating, the Dr. Seuss feel that I feel like other adaptations of his work might feel like. Like, I don't know if y'all have seen the Green Eggs and Ham cartoon on Netflix.
No, but I've heard good things about it.
I recommend it. It definitely is a love letter to Dr. Seuss, but this I feel more like it's just kind of like repackaging Dr. Seuss for Gen Z or Gen Alpha, whatever is the younger one these days.
It felt like it was made for a much younger audience. That's not
But you know what? That's okay.
That's not inherently a bad thing.
Well, Dr. Seuss was sort of an early reader for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I remember,
Yeah.
You know, I remember that getting the books would come, and you could, I could actually read it myself.
What I did like, though, is that of the three things in here, one of them was actually a complete story.
That's good.
That's true. That's true. It's kind of funny. This is the first one I read of my pile, and I came into this after reading a bunch of manga for several months in a row. So I started reading it from right to left. I was very confused.
I've been there. Like, wait.
Anyway, that's it.
I will say, I'm not sure I would, read any further, because I know I'm not the target audience, but, I do kind of like how the Cat in the Hat looked in Art Baltazar's style.
I'm sure the idea was
Yeah.
you're trying to bring young kids into the comic book store and find something, and he'll keep coming back every year, and hopefully,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
So it doesn't look like it's really his art style, though.
No, it was I'm probably butchering this. James Kochalka.
Okay. It just, yeah. I mean, it's sort of like Dr. Seuss in kind of name only. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I might not buy it for myself, but I'd buy it for like an 8-year-old. 8 to 10
Okay.
is probably ideal.
On the topic of the on top of green eggs and ham, I think I saw the part of the animated series was freed from Netflix jail.
Okay. All right.
Mm.
Do you want to do one, Paul?
Right. How about Kagurabachi?
Mm-hmm.
I got that too.
I read that one too. Where is it?
I feel like
No.
I'm
There we go.
All right. So go. What do you guys think?
With Kagurabachi, I'll be honest, the blurb at the end of the preview sounded, makes it's a more interesting hook than whatever it was they showed here, in my opinion.
So Paul?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this was supposed to be the first or like second chapter or something, but I feel like manga previews like this would be better if it was the first chapter, because that's the chapter that's supposed to hook you.
Yeah, that's the thing. When they have manga on these free comic book day events, they always seem to choose a really boring chapter.
Yeah, like it says excerpt from volume 1, but you have no way of knowing if it's like chapter 1 or not. I mean,
I'm not sure how they make these decisions.
I mean, it gets more visually interesting at the end here, but it wasn't enough to draw me in.
Yeah, I have been wanting to get into Kagurabachi. This doesn't necessarily change my opinion. I still want to read Kagurabachi, but they probably could have picked a more exciting chapter. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of talks they had in the executive board meeting or whatever, but it's just my opinion.
So why do you want to read it if you didn't like the chapter? I'm just curious.
Oh, I've just been wanting to read it. I've heard about it before, and people. There's this meme that goes around Twitter or something where it's like, "Oh my God, Kagurabachi is so good! It's the best manga ever," and people were like, "Okay, yeah, whatever." And then people actually read it and they're like, "This is good, actually." And I believe the anime is coming out before too long, so I want to get on that.
I also read the Boruto thing at the other half, even though I'm not really familiar too much with Naruto or Boruto. I thought, why not? And it didn't really change my opinion.
That's me too.
Naruto was big when we were growing up, but for some reason it just never like clicked with us personally.
So what is what is this about?
Kagurabachi.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to. I'll butcher
See,
the
the
name.
blurb is Chihiro Rokuhiro's father, Kunishige, is the most famous swordsmith in the land. Thanks to his 6 enchanted blades, the war that has been gripping the nation ends and peaceful days follow. After the war, he retrieves all 6 blades and hides them in the cellar of his workshop, but sorcerers raid his home and leave Kunishige dead in front of Chihiro. Many years later, Chihiro wields Kunishige's 7th and final enchanted blade on a mission to retrieve the stolen swords.
Okay, let's just here's what the story was about. All right. In case somebody was watching and went, "What is it about?"
And Boruto is about Naruto's son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or Boruto's dad's son.
It's about Boruto's dad's son.
Yeah. That's me.
I got it. All right. So we go back to Rachel.
I guess.
The next one I have on my pile is Bad Kitty, which is another one that is obviously meant for kids, but I did click with this one a little better. It's cheeky, it's self-aware. What else can I say? The only issue I have with it is that it uses Comic Sans. It's gonna be a big fat no from me, but otherwise, like the way it's written is very silly. The story is that he's getting into this Fortnite style video game, and he has to like get all the skins. He has to earn fish to get all the skins, and he learns that the fish cost real world money. So he has to get a job to earn real world money so he can get all the Fortnite skins. I thought it was cute.
Yes.
If only they didn't use comics. Although interestingly, or correctly, Comic Sans was based on the font used in Watchmen,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
but it
I
got
believe
overused.
there's some circles that believe that Comic Sans is more readable for certain kids with like dyslexia or other neurospicy people.
Yeah.
But I think that's disputed.
Yeah, it's just an overused font.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh well.
But in the context
I
of
still liked it.
but in the context of Undertale, it's suddenly endearing.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Okay, who's next?
Another one from my pile is Kanga Yu,
I also grabbed that one.
which is based on Wonder Woman.
Right.
Is it about a Kanga University? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
More or less, it's about it's like the Amazons ride kangaroos into battle.
Yes.
Oh.
And so it's about these kangaroos that want to be chosen for Princess Diana. Right.
Oh.
There's a young Wonder Woman.
Right.
So
We're getting kind of into kids, you think?
yeah, it's a preview for a graphic novel. I don't know how much I don't know if I would read the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It's an interesting way to explore a different aspect of the DC universe. Like some part of it you wouldn't have thought to dive into.
You know, I've never been a DC person. I'm curious about the decision of kangaroos. Is there a reason for that? Just because?
I don't know.
'Cause, like,
I'm not too familiar with Wonder Woman lore. Yeah.
We call it
aren't they supposed to be Amazonians? They're from the Amazon. They should be doing like crocodiles or llamas or something.
Well, they live on Themyscira, which is a nation populated entirely by women, just like the Amazons.
yes.
And then,
But you think kangaroos? You would think they're Australia.
yeah,
Do they go and steal
I-
them from Australia?
I don't know how.
Do they
Well,
get
what-
into the trapping?
Maybe
and
there's a good
hunting
reason.
kangaroos? No.
Well, Wonder Woman also flies in invisible jets.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's also I just reminded. There's also a preview at the back for another comic called DC's Misfits of Magic, but I wasn't sure exactly what the plot was, so I couldn't really get into it.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like maybe 5 pages, so not enough to really give a good idea. Although I will say this ad on the back seems kind of interesting.
Yes.
Ooh.
It's about Harley's hyenas.
I would read that.
Yeah.
Animal themed comic books.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like that ad alone looked like more interesting.
Yes.
Well, sticking with DC, I'll go on to
Ooh.
Superman Unlimited. Now, I've been I had been curious about why Superman was so popular, and I've actually found a volume that goes back, and it's all the original run of it, which I've been reading, and it's kind of like we watched those Superman,
Fleischer.
Fleischer shorts or cartoons, what we want to call them, and there's a certain I don't know. There's a sort of a simplicity in some ways to it, in a way. I mean, the stories aren't destroying the world.
Yeah.
So this one is sort of modernizing. The Daily Planet is now part of a multimedia kind of news organization, and Superman is sort of doing a lot of saving people in, like, I'll say, small ways. I mean, not like your building's going to fall on you, but like your boat's got a leak and he pulls you out of the water. Plane's got an issue, he'll help land the plane, kind of stuff. And the builds to there is a extinction level meteor on its way to hit Earth, and so he's going to go up there and try to stop it. But the cliffhanger is it's made of kryptonite. So,
Uh-oh.
yeah,
Crap.
and it leaves you there.
Uh-oh.
So so don't know how that's going to end. But it was sort of a little bit of a modernization and a little bit of a throwback. I mean, I don't. All the Superman movies are world-ending kind of things all the time, and that wasn't really what he started out doing.
Yeah.
As a superhero, it was more small stuff, and so I kind of appreciate the fact that this wasn't of course now it leads to a world-ending event, but they set him up as sort of a helping people more than and so it leads
Yeah.
so I kind of appreciate that part of it, a little bit of a throwback to
Yeah. It feels like a lot of superhero these days is about saving the world, saving all these big. Maybe the key to revitalizing the genre is just like rescuing a kitten from a manhole.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like he helps. He gives some money to a busker, that kind of stuff. I mean, it was little small
Aw.
things. So I kind of like that part of it, and you have to lead to something big, I guess. A kryptonite meteorite meteor is pretty bad, but
On the topic of Superman, if you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend watching My Adventures with Superman.
it's just
Yeah.
a little different.
I think Dom watched that and he seemed to like it.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's like we need more wholesome Boy Scout Superman.
But that's a little bit. It get into sort of a bigger world kind of.
Yeah.
But it was sort of the way they set him up was more in line with, except for that they changed Jimmy Olsen, but which is fine.
Yeah.
I like the version they come up with, but he wasn't out there to, you know what I mean? He wasn't
Yeah.
saving the planet every issue,
Yeah.
or every episode. So
Let's see.
I'll give up my hat.
So there's a book in here that I think Rachel also grabbed, which was Creaky Acres.
Ooh. This one definitely appealed to the horse girl in me. I used to ride horses, and looking at the little guide where they show you how to brush a horse, where is it? I was like, yes, that's how we did it. That's how you do it. It's so accurate.
Yeah, Trevor and I took a horseback riding class in community college because
Aw.
they had it.
Yeah.
And
Before they took away the agriculture stuff.
yeah. Anyway,
Oh.
this did give me flashbacks to.
Because you also
What I
groomed
learned
the
there.
horse and
You know-
stuff too, right?
Yeah, we also had to groom a horse.
It's funny. My college also had a horseback riding program. We think it's because someone donated a bunch of horses and a stable, like back in 2001 or something. And I always thought about doing some horseback riding there, but I think they provided lessons, but it just never happened.
Was this Savannah College of Art and Design?
Yeah.
Doing the horseback riding class did give me a different appreciation for horses.
Yes.
They can also be horses. I'll just say horses sometimes can like troll you if they really want to.
As
Oh yeah, they absolutely have personalities.
Yeah.
I will say, as an artist, being around horses also helped me with trying to draw a horse, even if if I'm not perfect at it.
They're supposed to be very hard to draw,
Absolutely.
aren't they?
Yes,
They are.
but
Well, like it's.
uh,
Sorry, go ahead.
I took animal drawing class, and the first thing we learn is actually like how to break down the structure of a horse,
Uh-huh.
because it makes it easier to draw. Under the idea that if you know how to draw a horse, you can draw like any animal.
I imagine, yeah.
Oh yeah, basically. And you know, just being around horses a lot makes you notice certain things about them that you might not notice otherwise. And I remember I took horseback riding camp a couple years, and they would have a little mini lecture about the anatomy of the horse. And I remember taking that to college with me, and just knowing how to draw a horse. And my friends would complain about having to draw horses, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Horses are easy. I mean, it's their legs that are the hardest, but like they have so many round parts. It's like just draw a bunch of circles, and you probably have something right.
It's easy, yeah.
So pivoting back to the story itself.
Yeah. What did you think
yeah.
of the
Oh, yeah.
story?
It was fun, but you know, it's not a complete story.
Yeah.
And you see this girl moving house and having to take her horse from her old stable and like saying goodbye to her stable friends and her instructor. And it's really sad, but at the very least, she has her horsey.
Yeah.
Now,
He's together forever.
is she doing dressage with the horse, or?
It looks like she's practicing for dressage, yeah. Typically, when you do horseback riding as a kid, you compete. I never competed, but you can tell she does competitions.
Yes.
That was one of the events I went to in the Olympics were here in '84 all your time, but they had dressage, and so I went to that just so I was curious what it was.
I think I would be interested enough to check out the whole rest of it.
Yeah, I remember now that she's moved. This is her new house, and I love it. I want to live in that house.
Also, I like the art style.
It is cute. I do like the art style a lot. I would read more.
One thing that I'll just say one thing that stuck with me from horseback riding class was when the instructor was showing us the tack shed. She told us every tack shed or whatever is going to be different depending on just who owns the horses. So
Yeah.
whenever you go to a new one, you have to learn how they do it.
I remember that. As a kid, I went between at least 4 different stables. So I know that well.
Wow. Okay. Who's next?
I think next I can show Minecraft. I have to pick up the Minecraft manga. It's basically like an average shonen manga, but in the Minecraft world. They do have these cool like sweeping shots of a Minecraft world, like in all its pixely square wonder. And not that it's not impressive, but I feel like making it all square is kind of a cheat code. You don't have to make any organic shapes that like look right in perspective. Although it's probably still a pain in the ass, likely. I assume they use some like, you know what? They probably actually made the thing in Minecraft and like used that to help them. That would have been really smart. Yeah, but I probably wouldn't buy this and read more, but it was still pretty cute.
I think I saw, if I'm right, that also had a preview for Beyblade.
Yes, there was Beyblades.
What did you think of that?
I didn't think much of it, to be honest. I was never a Beyblade fan, but there's like this kind of interesting story where like this guy, the kid sucks, and then he meets this guy. Oh, who is it? It couldn't possibly be like the top Beyblade player that like they're implying, right? And the art's nice. I like the art. Otherwise, I could take it or leave it.
That kind of plot is kind of par for the course for Beyblade, honestly.
Yeah.
We
My
have
camera
some.
isn't focusing anymore. Come on.
There
we go.
We have some familiarity with Beyblade.
Yeah.
You used to have the things, right?
Yeah. We also tried watching Beyblade Burst, and we only really liked the first 1 or 2 seasons.
We stopped watching because the protagonists were getting increasingly annoying.
Oh,
Yeah.
that tends to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like you have this Dante Koryu is really annoying.
Yes.
It's like, I'm going to say whatever I'm going to do even though I shouldn't be doing that.
Also, if it has an answer for everything, there's no tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But enough side quest.
Another one is we got was Street Fighter versus Rival Schools. I'm not that familiar with Rival Schools, but they wrote the crossover in a way that felt natural.
Yeah.
Like you could accept that they existed in the same universe.
Yeah.
Nice.
The art style was fine. I think it could have pushed the action a little bit more, because the like fighting games and beat 'em ups are all about like the action part. But it was still fine. And
Well, you gotta find the action in the actual comic.
yeah.
Also, like that, there wasn't too much dialogue.
Yeah, so it moved at a good pace. There were a couple lettering errors.
Yeah.
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
Seems very unprofessional.
I don't know how much of
I
it
feel like
is,
a lot of these things are rushed to Free Comic Book Day. Like it's probably not even finished yet. The comic itself.
yeah.
I'm sure they have to print these long in advance. They're not doing it the night before. You know, let's get out there.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised.
You'd be
if
surprised.
I'd be surprised they put less effort into the Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, I'm sure they do that. Yeah.
Like I'll show you one of my comics that isn't quite finished all the way, but I'm not gonna hold that against it.
There was also a backup story that was well, one, it looked more refined, and two, was actually kind of funny.
Yes.
Chun-Li is like kicking people's asses just because she's afraid of getting a shot.
Oh. Oh
We've
no.
all been there.
The doctor has to like kick her ass to give her the shot.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, how do you get Chun-Li to take her vaccines? You need a stronger doctor.
So that was fun.
Alright.
I don't have much more to say about that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I could go next, I guess. I picked up the Fantastic Four #1, mostly because there's, I guess, a movie coming out this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't there a new movie coming out?
Yes.
Yeah.
For-
Every 10 years.
It's it assumes it just picks up in the middle of us, like they're already there, and you just know how they got their powers and everything, which I kind of do, but every part of I guess having, to me, when you make comic book movies and they sort of spin out their own little universes, you're not sure where this is supposed to fit in. If you're not, I'm not a hardcore Fantastic Four reader, so I'm just sort of picking up because I have a general idea about the story, and so how are they related and all that kind of stuff. So it just picks up and puts them into a story, and of course it doesn't finish it. So it's not enough to
hook you.
it didn't hook me enough to want to read more of it. Sorry, but it was again, I was just trying to get into the spirit of what's coming out, and I'm not sure when it's coming out, but there's a Fantastic Four movie this summer.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I picked it up.
So.
All right, should I go next?
Yeah.
Please.
My next one is Mark Spear's Monsters. The cover was very interesting. That's why I picked it up. It looked like some kind of vintage style spooky monster stories. And the story contained herein is about like a creepy clown trying to kidnap a child. But then it comes in with this thing about there's this assassin or like this monster hunter type guy. And there's this big story that I'm not quite privy to. That in itself was interesting, but the art is a little disappointing because there's some panels that are super interesting and fun, like this opening scene with the child and the clown. Like, I love the colors. It's gorgeous.
That's striking.
But then you kind of dig deeper. It is quite striking, but then you dig deeper and the art kind of starts to get muddy. Like, it starts to look like a PC game from 1998 or something. And I do kind of start to get lost in the story. I'm not quite privy. Like, there's this assassin guy, and there's this sort of he looks like the guy from Nightmare Before Christmas, I want to say. Yeah. What's his name?
Oogie Boogie.
Oogie Boogie. It looked like Oogie Boogie. And I kind of started to get lost. And the art didn't captivate me in the last parts of it. So that's kind of a shame. But I still kind of like Mark Spears' art. I believe he's on Instagram. He does like these horror monsters. And I still appreciate it's kind of like a callback to vintage monster comics. So, I'll take it or leave it.
Okay, so Trevor and I also, from another store, picked up Transformers' worst bod ever.
Ooh.
It's the first appearance of Ballpoint.
I love the cover where it's pointing like, "You're the worst robot ever."
It's a preview for a longer book, but it was endearing enough to make me want to read the rest of it.
So ballpoint is a pen, or what?
Yes, he turns it, and he thinks he's more important to the Decepticon cause than he actually is. Yeah. So when he tells a story about himself, it's very self-aggrandizing.
Is he like this big?
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
He is as big as a ballpoint.
Okay.
He's small.
With robots, he could be.
Right. But
drawing Transformer comics must be a special kind of hell, except if you love drawing robots.
Yeah.
Like, this is a kind of comic you only draw if you're a specific kind of person.
The art style is a little more exaggerated, but it's aimed at a certain audience, so that was acceptable. And obviously the characters are still recognizable, so that was fine.
There was a funny detail in the Transformers fandom. There's with a G1, there's kind of a debate on like which is which between Rumble and Frenzy, or two of Soundwave's cassettes.
Okay.
As depending on who you ask, they're either one of them is blue and the other is
red, because the toy and the original toy line, Rumble was the red one and Frenzy was the blue one, but the cartoon accidentally swapped them, so that led to that confused an entire generation. Anyway, the funny detail where Soundwave ejects Rumble and Frenzy, but he keeps mixing them up. I was gonna say something that kind of establishes the kind of person Ballpoint is there's this thing here where Shockwave is trying to bring this important document, and Ballpoint thinks he wants an autograph, so he signs it. And then Shockwave just flicks him away.
Oh no.
I want to read the full thing. There's also a preview at the back for Family Force V, which was created by, or co-created by Matt Brawley, who did Amphibia.
Oh, nice.
From what we've read, it's Power Rangers.
Family Force V is basically Power Rangers. With maybe a little bit of Pacific Rim without the mech part. Well, we haven't seen like
Fighting
whatever
kaiju.
Yeah. I don't know about like the Zord part, but I was iffy on it when I realized, oh, it's just Power Rangers. I mean, it's interesting. The twist to it is that it's these generations that this family teaches people the.
It's a generational thing.
Yeah, so it's like a family business.
Okay.
And they pass it down to people. But it's Power Rangers. And you'd have to be into Power Rangers, I guess.
Or, I guess, tokusatsu type.
Yeah, tokusatsu. Or Sentai. But I guess if you... I still hope Matt Brawley succeeds.
Okay.
This.
With his own
We
version.
actually
Yeah.
we liked Amphibia, so I hope
Oh, yeah,
it
that
goes
was a
well
good
for
show.
him.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you have anything else?
Yeah, a couple things.
Okay.
One of them was this Boom sampler. It had like 5 things. I guess I could. Okay. Was previews for it was for Berserker, Redeemable, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, Mouse Guard, and Hello Darkness. The Berserker, Redeemable, and The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. I'll be honest, those were like totally excerpts, but whatever they showed wasn't enough for me to get an idea of what the plot actually is. Especially, I don't dislike Keanu, but Berserker is kind of the worst about that, because it tells you, like, nothing.
But just so you know, Keanu Reeves is involved. That's all.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves is basically acting in the comic, too.
That's all you need to know. I'm joking.
He's so accomplished.
With Hello Darkness, that was a full story, but it still felt like I kind of like walked into the middle of something already in progress, because I guess it feels like you have to be familiar with Hello Darkness to get it. It was a short story called Afters, but it wasn't really clicking with me. Mouse Guard, I actually really liked that one.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm
That's
biased.
my dryer.
Thought it was an ice cream truck.
You get ice cream from your dryer?
Right, it's the Mouse Guard. It's a full story, but it's one that hadn't been released physically before. It's called King Nightfall Villain. He actually, it was made for his usual square format, but he had to kind of redo it a little to make it work with like this format.
Standard comic format.
Yeah, standard comic format. It's actually I actually found it intriguing, but partly because it does take place in the Mouse Guard universe, but it's a standalone story that doesn't necessarily require any previous knowledge of Mouse Guard.
Okay.
I also really like David Peterson's art style. It stood out the most to me personally. Again, I might be biased because I don't know if I'm biased because I like his artwork enough that I got some Magic the Gathering showcase cards that he drew.
Ooh.
It's about a mouse who's trying to get his fortune told from a soothsayer, and it's told with cards, and it also goes into like the backstory of how they arrived at using cards to do it. The interesting is that David Peterson actually. This is not an ad, but I had seen that David Peterson actually sells a physical soothsayer deck based on the one in the story, but I didn't get it at the time that I saw it because I knew it was from that story, but I hadn't read that story yet. But now that I have, I might be more interested.
Okay. And we had David Peterson on our podcast as well.
Yes.
It was an interesting 2 hours.
Yes, well, we could go on for all night.
So anyway,
But of all these, I personally like the Mouse Guard story the most.
Right.
I only have a couple of books left.
I have one.
How many do you have left?
I have 2 left.
Great. I guess I'll
Go next.
take a crack at one. So the other store, one of the ones I got was this.
Ooh.
It's so Oni Press was reviving the EC Comics label. So this is kind of a preview of that. And it's an anthology series, so it makes sense that these are all short stories.
I think anthology was sort of EC's thing.
Yeah, they have multiple anthology styles or different genres. So in this, there's I guess it's from 3 different EC anthologies. Something in the back here. Anyway, the stories were Blood Type, The Champion, and Death and Pickaxes. Blood Type was a vampire story, but it wasn't as engaging as it could have been to me. I think it's just my taste in vampire stories.
Right.
And At the end it says, not the end, and of course the story continues.
What?
Then we get something from, like, honest to God, anthology. The champion I thought was actually, I don't want to get too much into it, but it had a good visual style. I wasn't 100% sure on the video game parallel, but at the same time, it had a really good twist at the end. I don't want to spoil that,
Okay.
but that put it in a new light in a good way. And then the story at the back, Death and Pickaxes, is it feels like a epilogue of sorts to Sleeping Beauty. And it involves another dwarf,
Okay.
and it was like okay, I guess.
Sleeping Beauty or
Snow White.
Snow White, sorry.
I was trying to think of where's
Both
the,
of them
Sleeping
involve
Beauty and the Seven
sleeping.
Dwarfs.
I was like, where's the dwarf in this?
That's
Okay,
true. A lot of princesses
fine.
sleep.
Yeah,
What's with that?
Easy. That way he didn't kill them, I guess.
I knew the right story when I was
Yeah.
reading it, and then when I'm saying it now.
You got it mixed up for a
Yeah,
second.
it's
Yeah.
fine.
So anyway,
They all
Snow
spaced-
White.
They start with an S. To be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
An epilogue to Snow White.
The sleeping princesses.
Yeah. But anyway, it was like okay.
Okay.
I don't have much to say.
Okay.
And then
We each have one more. Do you have another one you want to do?
Yeah, I have one left.
Okay. And how many do you have left?
2.
2. Well, you go next.
Next one on my pile is Black Mirror, San Junipero. I was asking before if this was like an original Black Mirror story or one adapted from the TV show, and it's the latter. They adapted one from the TV show.
I figured based on
and
the title.
I've never watched Black Mirror, although I was gonna say I ought to. I'm not sure though. It sounds really depressing.
we
But
haven't.
anyway,
Wait, Paul and I haven't watched it, but we've read about it.
this comic isn't finished. That was what I was talking about earlier. It actually talks about some of the process of making the comic, and it does show that the first part is inks, but then it shows you some parts that are a little rougher, a little less finished. It shows like pencils, which I find really interesting. Like just the process of making the comic. And the writer's a little write-up on how he decided on which stories to adapt, like which ones would be best for the comic format. And there's some character designs back here. They had to like redesign all the characters because they didn't think they'd be able to get the likeness rights for the actual actors. And I found this one pretty interesting. There's some press back here. I like this one.
I find it interesting when they include behind-the-scenes stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The other thing is this story is about like girls who like each other, and it's kind of funny because I was just listening to a YouTube video about lesbians in Black Mirror and how they always seem to get a happy ending as opposed to the straight people who are just tortured by their universe. So it's interesting that this happened to pop up on the comic shelf right after I listened to that.
Okay, I could go next. I have one more. Since we're all down to one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I read King Spawn, which is not a free comic book. It's actually from 2021. So it's
Leftover stuff.
I guessed it didn't sell as well as I thought. It's sort of
I noticed they did that a lot right after, like, they do that sometimes, I notice.
Yeah.
yeah. It's sort of Todd McFarlane is involved, but he didn't write it. He wrote some additional dialogue, so it means he probably went in and said, "No, you gotta say this." It's sort of the first rebooting of it in quite a while, and I have no idea if it's still going. I guess it probably ran for a while at least. It's a classic villain from Spawn's past. Begins asserting his power on Earth, and only Spawn identifies it. So anyway, not the kind of. It's not really a book that I would continue reading because it's just not really kind of my cup of tea. But it's it's well done and everything, but it's just not a book I would continue reading. And nothing against Todd McFarlane or anything, but just it was okay, I guess. And it was good for what it was, but it's just not the kind of book I would read.
I guess I had one other collection. It was IDW Dark.
Ooh.
Looks like it got signed.
Yeah, they had a couple creators at the Collector's Paradise.
Uh-huh.
Oh, rad.
The blood type one got signed,
Oh, that's awesome.
and this got signed by 2 different people. So the IDW Dark thing is obviously a horror collection.
Okay.
So the stories were Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, 30 Days of Night, Falling Sun, Tuatha, and Blood Honey. No, Blood Honey has nothing to do with Winnie the Pooh.
Damn it.
I wouldn't have read it then. Thrown it away.
Just see it that way. So
The funny thing is, I was thinking the same thing.
Rite of Spring is a sequel story to Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees by Patrick Horvath. I had already read Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, so I kind of had an idea what to expect going into it. Maybe that's the
Ooh.
first visual there. It actually feels like it's from the beginning of the first issue, so you're able to actually get into it, get a proper idea of what it's like, and you obviously still kind of need to be familiar with the first story, but I think I already would want to read more of it, especially when it gets collected into a trade. The other stories didn't really grab me too much. I wasn't too into 30 Days of Night anyway, so it didn't really change my opinion. And then Tuatha, if I'm saying it right, has a interesting visual style, but the story wasn't enough to hook me. And then Blood Honey, it's I don't care about these characters. Because they're just unlikable people.
Okay.
I'm sure that's the point, but it just wasn't for me. So that's it for me.
Trevor?
I was distracted by what you were.
Oh, my phone was ringing. Sorry.
The last thing I got was Energon Universe 2025 special. Since the 2024 special, I've actually been reading the Energon Universe, and I'm liking it. It's Skybound's take on Transformers and G.I. Joe, in the same universe. Because they got the licenses after IDW did.
Okay.
Or after IDW lost the... Anyway, this has, it's teasers for, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Void Rivals. Well, what's interesting about the, Free Comic Book Day specials is that, they are actually original stories that advance the plots of whatever comic they are for. But whatever was in here was a little further ahead than where I am, because I've been trade waiting.
Okay.
But it was still, I still found it interesting, what they were doing with it.
Would you say it's definitely for the fans?
Yes.
You have one more to go.
Yes, my last one is Isaac. Isaac. I have no idea how to pronounce that,
They
but
go
it's a.
You suck.
I assume it's Isak, but it's a manga. It's a story about a guy or a samurai in Europe who has a gun.
Okay.
That's what I've been able to. It takes place in 1620. I think it's like kind of. Well, I guess the Crusades were earlier, weren't they? There's some religious wars going on. I found a story interesting. It's like a little 10-page preview of him like saving a lady. They compared it to Vinland Saga, which is another story we've read on the comic book club.
Yes. Plug.
I think only the only real similarity is that it takes place in Europe. But I would pick up another issue of this. It also had a preview for Tower Dungeon, which I had never heard of before, and I found it very fascinating. The art is super cool. Like, here's a double spread that I love.
Oh.
The art style reminds me a lot of, Mike Mignola. There's some horror elements. There's a lot of emphasis on the black spotting. I believe the story is just about, like, these guys are going to the top of a tower. Tower of God style. Here's a cool... Wait, hold on. Yeah, here we go. Here's the cool double spread.
Whoa.
I love this thing. This definitely made me intrigued about something I never heard about before, so I'll probably add Tower Dungeon to my list of manga to read.
Okay.
So does everybody have a favorite? You have
Sorry.
one more?
I was gonna say one thing I forgot. The Energon Universe special. The cover is extended.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yes.
Okay. Does everybody have a favorite of what they read?
My favorite is definitely the Will Eisner one.
Yeah,
I would
agree
read
with
more of that.
Yeah, I want to get that book when it comes out. Maybe that could be our comic book club. No.
Ooh, learn a little comics history.
Yeah, can't be bad. Do you guys have a favorite?
You have one?
This is spontaneous. No one's picked this out ahead of time.
For me, it's kind of between the Transformers stuff and the Mouse Guard.
Okay. Do you have a favorite? If you don't, that's cool too.
Not sure if I have a favorite. I just had ones that I really liked.
Okay. All right. I'll just put people on the spot.
I know I would read more Worst Spot Ever and Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees.
Okay.
And there are a couple others I would read more.
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll take a break until May of next year.
Yeah. See y'all next year.
Right.
Support your local comic book store.
All right. So until next time, I'm David Hankins,
I'm Paul Hankins.
I'm Trevor Hankins.
And I'm Rachel Wells.
and this has been What's in My Bag, Part 2, Free Comic Book Day 2025.